Title Suggests. Today we are getting set up for November. Let me know what you're doing with me. Are we planning alongside each other? Are you doing something else? All is good, all is welcome. Oh my gosh, I can't actually wrap my head around the fact that October is like practically over. Here it is the 30th, which means we've got what, today and tomorrow, and then it's like, yep, you're gone. Whew, goodbye, see you next year, October. Oh no! I was probably hoping to have a little bit more done at this stage in October compared to what has actually happened, but it's fine. We're going to go through it as we set all of my intentions, aspirations for November. Now, this isn't going to be like the goal setting workshop that we did a couple weeks ago. That one's linked in the description box. In that one, it was very much like a you do with me, let's actually set goals together. This is more like a Jess runs her mouth for however long so that she can get her stuff in her journal set up. If you want to do it alongside me, that's cool. It's just going to be less instructional, all right? So if you're looking for something very goal instructional, then that workshop video is probably the best one to go to. This one, it's more just like monthly check-in, hanging with my peeps, that's you by the way, and doing all of the stuff. Yes, Halloween is coming. We don't really celebrate Halloween here so much. I mean, the extent of my Halloween celebration was putting this little washi tape sticker on Spooky Night, which was Friday the 13th. But Vogel and I do have plans at least for a Halloween evening to watch some movies that he's been pestering me to watch for a while. And he reminded me the other day, he's like, oh yeah, we're gonna watch Prey and The Thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, I agreed to that. Cool. It should be fine, but anywho, so yes, do let me know what you're doing and let's jump into it. Alrighty, first time catching a live because you're on vacation? Nice, alright, always good for having people here for their first time. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. So, in terms of actually populating my actions list for November, one of the things that I had planned when I set up this page was that I really just wanted to write out everything. So I could kind of see all of the stuff that I need to do at a glance on this page, which means not all of it is probably going to get done. It's more just like any task that I could think of to work on the goal is going to go on this little spread that we have here. That's why I left it a little bit more open compared to the one that we have for this month. Now if we flip back, you can see that we've got two goals here, 1 and 2, and one of them I actually got in and wrote the tasks out. Initially, my intention was just to write out a couple of tasks so that I was a little bit more focused on what needed to get done next, but then I found it a little bit tricky to kind of envision where I was going. It's that idea of like, yes, you only need to know the first step, but sometimes it's nice to know a couple of steps so you tend in the right direction with the stepping that you're doing. Hopefully that makes sense. This one, on the other hand, I needed to schedule some time to work on it, and it hasn't happened yet. In theory, it could happen today or tomorrow, but honestly, probably not. So I'm going to give myself the pass, and I'm just going to cross this one off as not done. And it might get rescheduled for November. We'll have to wait and see. I just know that we have Vlogmas coming up, so my November is already looking super, super busy. So if I didn't make time for this in October, it's probably not going to have time made for it in November, just given the extent of tasks. Oh, you're doing a rubber duck theme for November? I really loved my rubber duck theme. I thought it was very cute, so I hope yours turns out equally cute. Let's see, continuing your weekly reset for tonight. Yeah, nice. I usually try to do my weekly reset on Sundays. Today it's Monday, but yesterday I ended up spending the entire day just working on effectively one piece of work, which took up a lot more time than I thought it was going to, but I got it done, so that's cool. So, in terms of the actions list here, some of these have been done, but not necessarily to completion. So I just want to go through the list, scan my eyes over it, and half cross anything that's been started, and full cross anything that is done. Yeah? Alrighty. Alright, you made thumbnails for next week's lives and put October in them instead of November. I completely understand that. Let's see. So, in terms of this goal here, this one's all about building work routines. So, getting a little bit more structured in the way that I approach my work so that I don't end up working, I don't know, outside the reasonable hours. For instance, yesterday I finished up work at 10 p.m. just because the task I was doing, I was like, let me know if you can relate to this. If you're into something getting in and doing it, like, you know, if there's some kind of interest there, entering the flow state is so super painless. Like, you just get right into it. You think you've been working for 5 minutes on something, it's actually been 2 hours, but all of those 2 hours felt like they were super productive. Yeah, so that's one kind of version. And then the other version is where you just, you know in your soul, it's not the kind of task you enjoy, but you have to do it. So it ends up taking way longer, and every single step of it is a giant struggle. Yeah, so that was the realm that we were working in yesterday, which was a little bit trickier to get things done in a timely fashion. But anywho, so in general though, this one's all about building better work routines. So thinking about making myself more of a kind of weekly schedule template type thing, which we've got a video coming out about on Thursday, my time, maybe Wednesday your time. And then thinking about how I structure my things, both like weekly, like I said, but also doing things monthly and quarterly, so that anything that can be batched is batched. So I'm not doing the same tasks on repeat all the time, where it would make a little bit more sense to do kind of all of them together on one day. So for instance, one of my perks that I have for team members is that they get monthly printables. But if we think about the tasks associated with these, and we're breaking it down like really small here, it's like open the document, navigate to the right layers in the Photoshop file, change the dates over, tweak the date layout, all of those kind of things. If I have to go into that every month and do it, it ends up having this kind of like lag time, setup time, where I have to get all of my ducks in order before I actually get started. If I did 3 months worth of those printables at once, it would take me less time overall. Like, more time in the short term, but if you actually count up the amount of time spent over the longer term, it ends up being less. So I kind of want to get to doing better batchability. All right, so we started writing the work tasks master list, and I've gotten a decent way through it. I did schedule time to work on it because it happened, obviously. Initial task brainstorm happened. Let's see, we did it on paper and Excel, yep. And then we went to the organizing the work tasks, which has been started. I've done the frequency one. I think it needs checking, but I also started batchability, templateability, and schedule ahead ability. I kind of want to show you what this is so that you can kind of see what I've been working on, because otherwise it might feel like, Jess, why is this taking you so long? But I want to show you so you understand why it's taking me so long. So as part of this, I wanted to break my work tasks down into very kind of discrete items that I have to do for them. So thinking not so much about just like, you know, make a video as being a step. It's more like, what are all of the little tasks associated with making a video? So what I did is I wrote myself this beautiful work tasks master list table, and I've sorted it by, let's just do A to Z and A to Z and A to Z. So sorted it by platform, so you can see like these are all the things associated with Discord, and then broke it down by what I was calling output. So for instance, like for the book club event, we need to make the thumbnail for it, we need to like plan when it's actually going to happen, we need to make the event on Discord, we need to attend the event. Then I need to think about, for each of those tasks, how frequently do I actually have to do it? So for instance, attendance is monthly, because you know you rock up to the monthly book club meeting. It's not batchable to attend the book club. I can't attend them all at once, and I can't really do it ahead of time, that kind of thing. So I was going through each of the different tasks that I have to do and breaking it down like that. So you can see that this part looks very beautifully filled in. We've got all of the stuff written in, but if you go a little bit lower, some of them not so much. So anything that's in pink here, like kind of like, I don't know, peachy salmony color, that's a box that still needs to be filled in. So when I broke it all down with all of my outputs, I have 241 different kind of things that I do, kind of a thing. And that's getting quite granular, but like we've got 241 things, and I wanted to section them out so that I can really kind of see how I can schedule them better into my routines effectively. So that's kind of where we're sitting at the moment. I also then have a tab just for outputs, so I've just got the specific output rather than all the tasks that need to be done with it. And then I've kind of been playing around with the schedule. That is a later us problem, just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about, yeah? So I've gotten some of the way through this, but it is taking me quite a long time because I know it's going to be helpful, but it is so flickin' boring. You know, it is so boring to actually go and input those things, but I know it's going to be useful once I have the full data set. So it's one of those just like, shut up and do it type things. Anywho, so then I wanted to get onto my time tracking data and actually process the data and find out the things that I could from it. But tragedy struck and I actually deleted the file, and I have no idea why or how that would have happened. But it means that I can't process the data anymore in a way because I don't have the data anymore. So what I think I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go back through the video that we talked about the time tracking data and actually pull out some values from that. So that's a little bit frustrating. Do you have the master list spreadsheet that you could share with us? I mean, I can. It really depends on how helpful it's going to be to you. I'll probably get rid of some of the stuff in it because it's kind of a little bit more me specific, but if you want it, I'm not opposed to sharing it with you. So in terms of this time tracking data stuff, so schedule time to work on it. I haven't yet, but technically I have because I'm working on it today. So yes, we'll cross that off. I need to go back through the video though, rather than actually processing the data in this way. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to find the average time per life area and per task type, which I've kind of in part done as part of that previous video. I just don't have more data to play with now because I lost it. So sad face. Percentage time spent by life area and task type. I can still technically do that. It's just going to require a lot of screen grabbing rather than being able to nice and easily do it through Excel. So sad face. And then we have the outlining of next steps, which is totally doable. We could do that. All good. That can happen today because this is when I'm working on this stuff. Then we have the weekly work routine draft. So I have technically made the Excel document. We can cross that off. Specify the time blocks in terms of their timing. I have done as well. So I'm thinking about 2-hour time blocks because it's not so granular that it feels too restrictive, but it's not so broad that things don't necessarily get done in a timely manner. That kind of makes sense. And then use the time log data to guesstimate the number of blocks needed per task type per week. I can do that. It's going to be a little bit more tricky though, like we said. Okay. So that's kind of where I'm sitting at the moment with it. If we flip back to my goal plan. So this was the goal around building work routines. So stuff that we've done. Brainstorm want to know for log, we're going to do that today. Analyze time logging data, we're doing that today. Summarize takeaways from the log, we're doing that today. Setting priorities for the work routine. I have done it in a not so written sense, but I would like to write them down. So I'm going to write that down. Master list of work tasks. So the brainstorming happened. The sorting by batchability, we have started. Sort by do ahead, we've started. Formalize the master list. Technically, I have done this by putting it in that, like, I've effectively made like a new table for it, so it's looking pretty good. And then specify frequency. Frequency is done. Love it. All right. So plan for when. Set time for these schedule templates. So this one is all about a whole goal, all right, not just specifically the month that I've worked on. So it's kind of like an in progress thing. So I will half cross that one out. Block priorities for work and life. Block priorities, I've kind of done that, kind of. Soft slot in tasks, not yet. And then stress test the routines, ha ha ha. That one's going to come a little bit later. And then trialing routines, reviewing the routines, and then iterate and formalize. Those ones all come a little bit later. And I feel like this is going to be the kind of goal that isn't just worked on in one quarter either. This is going to be an ongoing thing, right? So at this stage, we've gotten to a point where I am close to being able to actually starting to group my tasks in a way that is useful and then kind of map out how frequently I want to do them in terms of like monthly, quarterly, weekly, that kind of stuff. I just need to finish off that boring table, even though I know it's going to be helpful. So this is looking cute. This one, we'll see if I can make time for it. I'll put this task in November, but it probably won't get done, but at least it'll be there. So As part of my goal setting, I do like to make sure I'm filling in my monthly review as part of that. You can see the parts of it have already been filled in because I do like to fill it in as the month progresses, just because I forget things, you know? I don't necessarily remember after the fact what my wins were, or my challenges, or that kind of stuff. So I try to make sure that I fill it in a more timely manner. So wins that we have so far, we're committing to a new office setup, yay. The master last of work task, okay, that one's happening, we're good with it. Soft drafting of my daily blocks, that one's looking good. I'm feeling positive about it. Challenges were losing the time log data, sad face. Losing time log file, which is stressful. And in terms of the challenges, these challenges aren't specifically related just to that goal either. It's really just about any challenges that I had that I either felt challenging in general, or kind of limited my ability to get the stuff done that I wanted to get done in a way. So for instance, one of the challenges that we have that I'm about to write down is that I had a house guest last week. And though strictly speaking, hanging out with my mom, that's not like a challenge. It's not a struggle to hang out with my mom. She's a very lovely person. But in terms of getting all the stuff done that I wanted to in October, that's something that I didn't necessarily plan for as well as I could have. So time management, RE, like regarding mom's visit versus work tasks. It's one of those things, like I knew it was coming up, but then I go, oh yeah, I can get that done before the date. Oh, I can get that done before the date. And then the date comes, you're like, okay, so you didn't get the thing done. Good job, you. That's all good though. It's one of those things, like I feel like I need to learn a lesson multiple times sometimes. So yeah. Alrighty, so along with this, we can also fill in any memories that we had from the month. And the memory section, I find my 1 line a day, or like 5-year journal, which is more like 3 lines a day. This guy here, very helpful, because I've got a little kind of, I don't know, blurb about each day anyway. So I can just go through that one and pull stuff out. But stuff that I know that happened, we had Yumcha with Mom and Matt. Matt is my brother. I usually call him brother. I don't usually call him Matt. And we also had family dinner. And because my parents live in Melbourne, we don't often have a lot of family dinners. So family dinner at, I don't remember what it's called, Somtum. Somtum. I think it's Som. Thai. There we go. And we've got a little more space for memories. I don't think we're going to be doing a lot of memory making today and tomorrow, but, you know, just in case, we will leave it open for now. All good. In terms of the finances section, this is usually filled in after the month is done, so that I actually have a complete picture of what my spending was like, but this kind of relies on my ability to fill in my tracker, so we're going to do that. So the tracker I'm talking about here is my no spend challenge, and I have gotten a little bit slack with actually filling it in, so it's probably worth jumping into and having a look. If you haven't met this guy, this is my yearly collections journal. This is where my yearly collections go, funnily enough. So things that I want to track on a yearly basis so that I don't have to transfer them into new journals. So I have not filled in this tracker since the 19th. Haha! So it's only like, 10 or 12-ish days. But my memory isn't that great, so filling this in a more timely manner is probably wise. Let's see, black for the yes spend days and grey for the no spend days. So yesterday we did spend. We did spend. So that one is Poink black. When I say we did spend, I mean specifically we spent against these categories. So like non-pre-planned food out was the one that we did because we got to about 5 o'clock and I'm like, hey, you want to have fish and chips for dinner? Which was not a planned food expenditure. So that one goes in as a black dot. Let's see, on the 28th, we had BK for lunch, which is also a not planned expenditure. And then on the 27th, we had takeout for dinner. Just sort of like food, man. It's always food. And that's why it's like the non-pre-planned food out is here, you know? Before that, though, the 26th, what date was that? And by that, I mean, what day was that? It was the Thursday. Okay. So one of the nice things is that because my no spend challenge is primarily around the idea of spending on food that I wasn't, you know, supposed to eat, quote, quote, I can use my meal log to help me out. So we can flip it back, hoping that my meal log is fully filled in. Twisties, O-bowl, fish and veg, chalky ice cream. Okay, so those ones are not foods that I didn't plan to spend. So that one can go in as a grey dot. So even though we technically got takeaway food on that day, it was a pre-planned takeaway event. Like multiple days before the fact, we planned out to have that food. So it's totally fine. This challenge is more about intentionality than it is about the actual, like, what I'm purchasing, if that kind of makes sense. So although it was an expenditure in a category that I'm technically trying to spend less in, it was a pre-planned expenditure. So it's okay. Clonk. There goes my elbow. Ow. Right, on the 25th, and this one we were out for Thai, but Mum paid for Thai, so I didn't spend, so it's okay. Wait, we got ice cream, but we were planning to, so it was okay. That's alright. Alright, on the 24th, salmon and veg, rice bubbles, apples, salmon and veg, chalky and twisties. 24th. No, Mum was over, so that's okay. I know that there's a day here that I went and bought a bunch of games that I wasn't necessarily planning on until I purchased them. And I believe that was the day before Mum got here. So that might have been the 22nd. But let's have a look. What do we have for dinner on the 22nd anyways? We were gonna have pasta salad. We ended up having A-Roy, so we still spent unnecessarily anyways. And the day before that we had McD's, and that was planned though, so that one's okay. Wait, did I just put that on the wrong day? I totally did, but it's alright. It doesn't really matter so much in terms of the actual specific day that it happened either. It's more about the number of days. So my intention for this tracker is to attempt to get a 70% success rate. Like, actually not spending in those different categories. I haven't counted up the data though, so we'll see if that actually happens. So really it's just the number that matters here. So these two dots realistically should be switched, should be the other way around, but it's alright that they're not, as long as the data is right for this one at least. Alrighty, for Saturday the 21st, yep, cool. Toasties, that was fine. And then chicken salad, 2-minute noodles, love it. So that was the 20th. 20th was all good. And then the 19th was, pasta. All good. Nice. So that one's actually up to date now. So in terms of the success rate that I'll be looking at, I'm going to go through at the end of the month once we've finished it out and count out how many black dots I have versus grey dots. So far we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 black dots versus however many grey dots. And then I can do the little calculation of if it's 11 by the end of the month, it's like 11 over 31 and see how much success versus not success I got in terms of filling in the track of a 1, but not spending in the categories that I don't want to spend in. So can't actually fill that in just yet, but I can specify the different categories I'm looking at. So if we go back to, okay, I'm going to show you my favorite page, and I feel like you've seen it before, but I'm going to show it to you. Look at how beautifully full this is. It makes my heart so happy. So these are the different categories that I put in my finances space. I didn't actually fill it in for September. So I need to make sure that I do that. I should probably write that down before I forget it. Let's see. Today is Monday. So populate September financial review, because I've got all the data there for it. I just need to actually fill it in. Dry. So for instance, I need to note down how many no spend and yes spend days I did, so we can just do that now There's, no time like the present or whatnot. So if we go through September, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 yes spend days. And that means that we should have 22 no spend days. And then in terms of calculating the success rate, so success is like the positive, yeah? So how many no spend days did I have? Because that is the thing that I'm looking to do. So that is 22 divided by 30, which we do on a calculator because haha no. Yay, it was a 73.333% success rate. So that is just coming in as a success, which means that October probably hasn't been successful because we already have 11 days that I did do the spending. Beautiful. I love it. Right. I'm not very statistic heavy in this, but I do like to have a little bit of stats in there. But this makes my soul happy. Right. Love a very full reflection page and hoping for a similar one this month once I've filled everything in. Alrighty, we has a question or a comment. Either way, love it. Alrighty. Wanting to add a yearly collections bujo in your lineup for a long time, but we're nearing November, it's too late to set one up for 2023. No, you can set one up for 2023. YOLO. I am totally fine with you doing as you will. The only thing I will say is that what I find with my yearly collections journal, and this is with any journal that I do, right, is that I like my start of journal pages to be at the start of the notebook, so that then I don't have to like flip through and find them. And that was one of the issues that I had with my first iteration of the social media journal, because I tried to put it in a different journal. So what I've done with this one is that I've gotten this elastic band, which is a kind of journal closure thing. I think it's from Erin Condren. I got it for free. But I've sectioned off the first part so that then when I turn into my notebook, this is effectively like the new first page. So if that's going to be something that bothers you, you might want to get yourself some kind of a closure. It doesn't need to be one that you specifically purchase. It could be a piece of string. It's fine. Just so that then when you actually open your notebook, it opens to the right place every single time. It just saves you just a little bit of time, a little bit of hassle. I think the nice part about starting now, again, like you don't have to, but if you want to, you get like a trial run, which is pretty cool. You only get it for 2 months or so, but it's still a trial run to see what didn't work for you. So whenever I go to plan a new journal setup, I do consider the one that I've been working in, what's actually been working, like what have I enjoyed, all of that kind of stuff, before I start planning out any new pages. So we did it in a team member video, but we went through each of these different collections and said, like, do I actually want to keep this? Is there anything I want to change about this? Is there anything that's not really working? Is there anything else that I want to try? So that then when it comes to setting up my new one, I have that information there. So doing a little trial run for November could give you that information. 100% Tina, I totally agree. We haven't even had a tink point yet. What are we doing? Tink. You can see that this is like a faux tink though, because I haven't even opened it yet. Oh my gosh. Beautiful. Yes. Alrighty. So. Oh, that was so needed. My poor throat and tongue. They're just so dry. Double tink. Tink. Alright. Oh, yay, I'm glad that you made it. I'm all about people being here for their first live stream. It's very exciting. Oh, I'm really quite pumped because I've gone and scheduled out all of the live streams for the rest of the year, just in my like editing software kind of a thing. I don't know, can I show you that? I think I can show you that. Because like, they're not set up in terms of actual information or anything yet. They're just set up in terms of actually putting the dates in. You can see them all sitting here like, oh, so cute. So this is the one we're doing at the moment. And then next week we have a live with the topics to be decided. And then the one after that is the community pick. And then we have the team pick. And then we have the team exclusive. That one's on the down low. And then we have a team pick. And then a team exclusive. And then the 2024 goal setting. And then the year's over. What? Oh my gosh. That's actually kind of stressful to think about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We only have 7 live streams left for the year. And I mean, 2 of those are team member exclusives. So we only have 5 public live streams for the rest of the year. Why did we look at that? Now I'm stressed. Okay, I'm not that stressed. It's kind of exciting. I mean, like, by this point, it means that we will have done a full year of live streams, which I think is pretty nifty. Good question. Will you be continuing live streams for 2024? I don't know. I feel like we should put it to a poll. No, we're going to do it. We're we're gonna do it for next year as well. I think that it's just been really fun. I mean, I think it's been really fun. I hope you have too. But it's been nice to have this kind of regular check-in point to come and hang out with people and do some journaling together and that kind of stuff. So hopefully other people are keen on the idea of us continuing it. Alrighty, so, I'm sorry, Britta. I'm trying not to run too much on my computer at the moment because I know people were complaining about video quality, and one of the things that I can do on my end to make video quality better is just by closing the majority of anything else. So I have most things closed at the moment to try and help us out a little bit. Obviously, I just need somebody to come and be like my channel manager, and by that I mean they just set up the polls for me. You love watching them on the replay, so don't stop. Fair. All good. Yeah, so I really enjoy them, and I'm glad other people do too. So other challenges that I have faced this month, really, I guess it was probably like, it's always there, it's ever present, but like balancing my work and leisure time. But then when I do balance it, not feeling guilty about actually taking time to balance it, you know, to have some downtime. Balance work versus leisure. And I'm going to put it in quotation marks because I don't think it's really a guilt, it's just like a, it's kind of a guilt. It's a soft guilt. Guilt from taking time for me. There we go. Alrighty. Question. Love a good question. Do you have any tips or motivation for goals? Cutting caffeinated drinks from my diet and I'm not getting any gratification from the success, which is a major motivation killer. Yeah, no, that's completely fair. I guess I would question, so with the cutting of caffeinated drinks, is when you say caffeinated drinks, are you talking about like super caffeinated? Like, are we talking about like coffee kind of a thing? Or are we thinking more like low-key amounts of caffeine? Because like I know that Coke Zero has caffeine in it, for instance. Delicious. But it doesn't have anywhere near the amount of coffee. Honestly, motivation is a really, one, it's fickle, and two, it's a really hard thing to rely on to get you through things, because it comes and goes. So there's a couple of points with this that we can kind of talk about. There's the idea of the kind of motivation versus action cycle. So most people think in the way of like, we need to be motivated to take action. But oftentimes, if you take action, you're more likely to be motivated to continue. So you can kind of try and, I don't know, hack it a little bit, and like reverse it and try and do like the action in order to build motivation, which can be tricky. But I also find that if you don't have a strong reason tied to a goal, at least for me personally, it's very hard to get yourself to do anything, which is even with a strong reason, it can be kind of tricky. And I find that for that strong reason, it needs to be very personal. It needs to be kind of tied to something that you, not something that you want to have so much, it's something that you want to be, kind of a thing. It is also a way to build some kind of intrinsic motivation with regards to the goal. I know I'm rambling about this. That's because it's first thing in the morning on a Monday. But hopefully that kind of makes sense. So, for instance, okay, you said soda and coffee. Alrighty, I need to scroll up. Let's see. Soda and coffee. Yeah, for health reasons. So, other things that we can do instead of motivation that can kind of sometimes help us a little bit. We can have it so that we tie it to something else that's enjoyable. So it's like, instead of doing the caffeinated thing, what's a thing that you can like replace it with that is going to still kind of fit in with your health related goals that you've got, but it's still enjoyable enough that it can kind of sit in for that, for instance. So this is maybe not the best idea, but just as an example, I'm going to preface this by saying that I'm not a doctor. But if I wanted to quit Coke, which I don't want to, but if I wanted to quit Coke, I would probably change it out with a different drink that was equally enjoyable for me. So for me, that would probably be like freshly squeezed orange juice. Absolutely love it. Can't drink too much of it because it is a lot more sugary than Coke Zero is, but it has a similar kind of refreshing enjoyment factor, you know? So the more direct the swap can be, the better it'll probably be in terms of like actually being a proper stand-in. It's like people who stop smoking and they find that they start eating a lot more because they're so used to just having something kind of in or around their mouth kind of a thing. Does that make sense? I'm not a smoker, but I've known people to be smokers and found that they've kind of replaced their smoking habit with an eating habit to kind of fill the void there. There was a whole bunch of dribble, but hopefully some of that was helpful. But yeah, motivation can be a really tricky thing to rely on. So other things that we can find to rely on to help us with that goal are probably a better thing. So it's like having some kind of accountability buddy who is going through a similar thing. They're like trying to quit something as well, and you guys can kind of make it more like a competition game based. So like who can go the longest without doing X, Y, Z. The idea of like easing yourself into it. So if you're trying to cut back on caffeinated beverages, maybe not going cold turkey, maybe just making it like a once or twice a day thing, and you get a little bit of autonomy in terms of when you get to pick that thing. Because we often rebel against not having choice. So when we try and say to ourselves, you can't do this, it doesn't sit well with the internal brain. The internal brain's like, absolutely not. How dare you restrict me? You're not my manager. You don't have enough gym badges. You can't control me, kind of thing. But yes. Anywho. Alrighty. There have been more comments. I need to go scroll and read. Yay, Sean, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for making it. Alrighty. I also feel like tink break. Yeah, so that's a good question from Shadow Girl. Is the satisfaction lacking due to the fact that you like the taste of soda and coffee, or the caffeine particularly? Nice. Yeah. Alright, you're essentially your motivation body double. Love it. Alright. So, other challenges. What else? Can't think of one right now. But again, we've got until the end of the month. We've got a couple of days. I'm glad that you appreciate the ideas. We love it. Yeah, your brain every day. You don't have enough gym badges. You can't control me. So in terms of lessons I represent with a little arrow, because the idea is that like I'm taking something forward. Yeah. So a lesson: don't leave your blog post work to the last day. But more specifically, don't leave every single task of it to the last day. Oh, I'm glad that you've been like typing out the ideas onto sticky notes, because I know that was like a lot of stuff at once. Because yeah, like I know that Coke Zero isn't good for me. Like I'm not a dum-dum. I know this, but also I don't care. I love it, and I'm not dead yet, so it's fine. I'm just like pickling my insides with acid or something. I don't think that's how that works, but sorry, I didn't tink you guys. Yeah, it's one of those things that like I could try to quit Coke Zero, but my why for quitting Coke Zero would not be anywhere near enough to overcome my enjoyment for Coke Zero. You know, I love the bubbles. I love the like nice like chili sip. Like, oh, beautiful, so good. Flavors are my faves. Yum. Okay, as a side note, and this is a very big side note, like whenever I go to my parents' place, they live in Australia, and I'm like, okay, cool, yep, I'll grab myself some Coke Zero so that I can have something, have my favourite thing there to drink. Their Coke Zero tastes completely different, and I hate it, and it's bad. Like, yeah. Yeah, no, fair, exactly. Like, I don't have the same issues with my Coke Zero intake, so that's why it's, like, not so much, the why doesn't outweigh the why not? For me. Let's see. Don't leave your blog post work to the last day. Specifically, don't try. Then we'll just leave it at the sad no. Don't try to work on all blog post elements. On the same day. Like, it's doable, but because it's not really something that I specifically enjoy, you know, it does make it a little bit harder to keep the motivation up and actually to keep going with it. So we're gonna try next month to not leave it all to the same block of time and try and spread it out over like a couple of days so it's not so, you know. Let's see. Oh, thank you for being here while you could, Maya. I hope you go have some good rest. Alrighty. So, looking forward to things that I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to getting a haircut because I have that one booked for November. I'm looking forward to Christmas with the fam. There we go. Also looking forward to the 2024 setups as well. I think it's good. I quite like the looking forward to section in my review, just so that then you've got things on the horizon that are kind of exciting. You know, I find that everybody needs to have something that's coming up that they're excited about. I mean, you don't have to have one, but I find it very enjoyable to have one. So, you know, I would love to know. What is it? What's something that you're looking forward to? Could be in the next month, could be in the next, 6 months, you know? So Christmas with the fam, 2024, setup season. Because I like watching other people's ones, and I like doing my own ones, and, one of my favourite videos of each week is coming up, which I'm just, very excited about. Each week, get out. Each year, we have one video each year that I, in particular, look forward to making, and we're going to be making it, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to setting my 2024 goals. I'm looking forward to meeting Rachel's small person. And yes, it's Jason's too, but it's Rachel's. There we go. The looking forward to box is looking good. Yeah, birthdays, holidays, love it. Doing your PhD in zoology. Ooh, excellent. That's very cool. And your data collection. Love that. All right. Let's see. Nervous about. Ha 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 ha. So you can see that each of these has their own kind of little, I guess, icon emoji type thing that I use. So for looking forward to, I do it as little eye because it's like you're looking forward. And then for goals worked on, I do a little trophy or a little cup. So the idea is working towards a little trophy. And then challenges is a cross because it's a negative thing. Wins are a tick. And then memories are a heart. Finances, I don't have a specific emoji type for because it really depends on which section it is. So finances starts with spent, and then we have the no spend, the yes spend. I also like to put in saved here, but we're going to do success rate. And saved. And then underneath that is where I put in my spend trend statement. So the idea of the spend trend statement is effectively it's just a statement that kind of gives a little bit of information about my spending habits across the month. So it's usually related to when I'm more inclined to spend, but it might be something like, hey, you often break your no spend on a Thursday, or you were particularly busy this month, which is why you ended up buying more takeout. Or it was your birthday month and you felt like treating yourself. That kind of thing. Let's see. Yeah. scrolling, scrolling. Tink. Oh, hi Sarah. Pleasure to have you here with us. From Oxford, NZ. Love it. Restarting journaling. Nice. I hope that you're excited about it and that you enjoy the process and that you don't put too much pressure on yourself. Alrighty, so things that I'm nervous about. I think that the main thing is really just the Vlogmas work and being able to fit things in. Let's see. Is there anything else? I don't think so. At this stage, I can't think of anything, so we're going to leave it. In terms of wins, I guess we can put in like community growth because that's been kind of on a little upwards trend as we get towards the end of the year. So we'll put in community growth, which is nice. And I'm so glad that people liked Monica's reading journal. That was good to see. Community growth, and we have Monica's reading journal, Rejo, video, IDEO, and what else? I think that looks pretty good so far. Again, like, we're not at the end of the month yet. I still have a little bit of time. I am going to rule off this section here, just so that then I have a kind of divider for my spend trend statement, which I can put in here. But I typically like to do that one towards the very end of the month as well, just so I have a full data set in terms of my yes and no spend days. It just gives me a little bit more to play with. In terms of goals worked on, so improving my work routines, goal course, and my office revamp. I don't think there's been anything else in particular that I've worked on, but I am going to specify, because it's a loose goal, is end of year planning. Let's say end of year planning. Let me know if you guys can hear vocal in the background, because I will close my door. Planning, and we've also been working on like Vlogmas plans in general. Vlogmas plans. Beautiful. Let's see. Do you have any tips with keeping up interest in your bullet journal? I guess it really depends on like why you're losing interest. I find, for me personally, main reason that I won't be using my journal is either I'm really flippin' busy, so then I'll try and kind of par back and just focus on the things that are actually going to bring me closer to what I want my journal to do for me, or I get bored, yeah? And when I get bored, it's usually I need some kind of a change up. I'm going to go close my door so that we hopefully can't hear Vogel, but he has a loud voice. It is in his nature. Dun, 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 dun. Plonk, plonk. Right, hopefully that helps, but I'm glad that it doesn't bother you, but it bothers me naturally. It's not that bad. Good morning, Denise. But yeah, so one of the reasons why I like to try different layouts, like I'd always try different things for my weekly setups and such, was so that I didn't get bored with my journal, because I find if I use the same layout over and over and over again, I do start to get a little bit tired of it, and then my motivation to actually get in and use it is a little bit tricky with that. Let's say you can keep up for it for 3 months and then just fizzle out. Yeah, I find that because my journals typically last anywhere from, depending on size, 3 months to 5 months. The last month in any journal is always going to be one that I just don't apply as much effort to, because I when I start that new month, usually about a third of the way into it, I start setting up my next journal, and as soon as I've started setting up for the next block of time, whether that be like the next month in a journal like this, or the the full next journal or whatever else, I'm just like, but now I want to use that one. That's why in this one I ended up starting this guy, what was his name, September? I started September in August. Like, I had space in August to put these dailies in, and I was just like, you know what, no, I need to change. I need to come and move into this journal now. And I think that that was a really good choice. Like, it was only 4 days, but this week, in theory, would have been in my August pages, which were in my last journal, but I was just like, I need to change. It's one of those things that for me, my journal, this one in particular, is very much about like organizing myself, getting things done, keeping track of all of the things I need to do. And if I need to start a new journal to do that, then I'm gonna let myself do it, you know? Yes, I could have struggled through the last 4 days of August. I mean, it's only 4 days, but, you know, we do a lot of stuff in 4 days. We're very busy people with very important things to do. And so I would rather not lose that time because I decided that I was going to try and, like, you know, rough it out in a journal that I just wasn't really enjoying. I'd rather just move into my new one and still get stuff done. It's all good. Let's see. Join the Facebook community. Nice. Yeah. Not very artistic, so leaning, I can read. Leaning into simple layouts with a bit of washi. Love it. Yes. This washi is beautiful. Look at this. Look at this holographicness. It's so gorgeous. But I've kind of like been enjoying this journal for like using more washi and then doing a little bit of doodling kind of stuff and, you know, just being a little creative. It's been kind of nice. Yeah, doing it all at once is a bad idea. Well, I mean, I find that I like being able to change things as I go, and if I do everything at once, it kind of takes away from my ability to tweak things as I learn about my process and systems, which has kind of been a little bit of a tricky point this year because I've been trying to do my setup videos a little bit earlier in the month because, I don't know, people seem to like having them a little bit earlier so they can use them for their own ideas and inspiration, and like, you know, that's fine, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. But it does mean that when I set these pages up, I haven't necessarily formed full opinions of my last pages, if that kind of makes sense. Which, you know, is what it is. One of the things that I noted for this monthly setup, no, this one, the day after I finished my November monthly setup, I thought of another tracker that I would have wanted to include. And I'm just like, oh, well, like I could shove it in somewhere, but nah, we'll just do it in December. It's fine. So it means that a lot of my ideas I have like a lag time associated with them. But yeah, let's see. You find losing track of things motivates me to keep going. Nice. Did I say that? Probably. No. All right. Where were we? So we have filled in the majority of these sections in terms of bullet journal review. So previously I would have this box as 2 separate sections where I would have like the positives and the negatives, but I figured I can just put them in both because I use those little symbols to indicate different things. So I have just really been enjoying the width of the square. I have also really been enjoying having daily boxes, dailies with borders. I think they look nice, but at the same time, cross having to draw borders, so it's like a balancing act. Because I enjoy the aesthetic of the boxes, but I don't enjoy having to actually roll them out. We also have a slight problem in that, for instance, on this one, yeah, I wrote out my Monday, that was fine. Wrote out my Tuesday, they both took up a full column, and then I went to Wednesday, and partway through Wednesday, I'm like, oh, I really need to write something down for Thursday. I'll just write it down at the bottom of the page, and then I ended up ruling off the boxes, but never actually ended up having 3 other things to write in the Wednesday, so I've got a little bit of wasted space here. This wasted space doesn't bother me so much because this is just a weekly task list that I was filling in kind of as the week was progressing. But yeah, so some of these, like that's a weekly task list, that's fine, but some of them aren't filled up the whole way through. You know, now as I say that, we're trying to find an example. Yeah, Friday, Sunday. When I got to the end of the month, I needed to map out how much space I needed. So I was just like, you know what, we'll just do a column per day and then I know that I'll have enough space. No, I hope that I'll have enough space. So these ones are all quite open, but that's all right. I like the fullness of this. And I like having just little kind of bits and modules and stuff like that. So it's like, hey, a little plan for favorite things day, or a little plan for my crafty project, or a little plan for pre-crafty day and stuff like that. Hi Kay, glad that you made it. Let's see, have you made your decision regarding my new Joe? I think we're gonna go with the square because everybody cottoned on to the fact that I was too excited about it. I was trying to hide my light under a bushel. I was trying to keep my excitement under wraps so that it wouldn't sway the vote, but people were like, you're obviously excited about it, just use it. So yeah, I'm probably gonna use the square one. Dink. But I'll probably use the green one like after the fact, right? Yeah. Because that's the thing. I'm going to use multiple journals next year, so it's all good. It's all good. So, this guy's looking cute. This guy's looking done to the extent that I really kind of want to do it right now. I don't think there's anything else in particular to write about my Bujo review. No, there is. I didn't like having the actions list here. So, actions list not up the front. Because, yeah, I do prefer to have it kind of closer to the start of my journal pages. I liked the waterfall tabs. I found navigation with the waterfall tabs tricky. So, aesthetics of the waterfall was a tick. But navigation with them was a cross. Waterfall tabs navigation. So by this I mean, typically when I'm coming to my monthly pages, I'm coming from the daily pages, right? So I'll be working on my dailies, oop, really need to go and fill something in. So I'll flip back to here, and then to actually get back to the start, I have to like go through them, because the smallest page is the first one. So if I'm on the last page and I pick this up, I only go one step rather than multiple steps. It's hard to explain, but hopefully you kind of get what I mean. Navigating in this direction is very easy because you can see each of the different tabs and you just pull one out and you go to whichever page you want to go to. But when you're on a later page, you don't have all of the tabs there anymore. Whereas if we think about something like the September pages, where we had tabs in this one too, but they were all separate individual tabs running down the side, I could be like, oh yeah, I want to turn to, you know, this one here and then turn straight to it, kind of a thing. Or I want to turn to this one and turn straight to it. Yeah, so I like the aesthetic of these. I don't think they're necessarily the good for actual like functional navigation, but they're pretty, so I set them up again. Square journal for the win. Ha 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 ha. Oh, bwah, bwah. That's an air horn. Alrighty. We need to have an air horn noise. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I think that it's a beautiful journal. Like, and I've been really enjoying working in the square. I think that one of the things that tripped me up about the B5 is the length. It's just a lot longer, and I didn't necessarily make anything bigger to accommodate that length. I really would have had to do a bit more in terms of thinking about like how to change the layouts so that they work better in the B5. Yeah. But I didn't do that. So I wouldn't be opposed to changing, or like trying rather. I wouldn't be opposed to trying a B5 again at some stage, but not today and not for my next journal. So the review is looking cute, which means we are now on to thinking about next month. So while I am doing my goal setting here, I am also kind of thinking about other stuff that I might need to fill in. It's kind of like a little monthly reset type process, yeah? Let's see, you made yourself a 5-year journal, but you have 32 extra pages at the end. Nice. What to do with the extra space? You could do it for memory keeping. Let's see, 32, 5 years, 32. I can't do math in my head. Alrighty, so 60, yep, divide by, cool, alrighty. So you could do some kind of like a half-page summary for each month or a half-page review for each month for each of the years. It could be like a place to do some like photo collaging from each of the months. That could be something that you do just because you've got 32 pages. What you could also do is a kind of like hello, goodbye kind of page in there because you've got 32 and you'll only need 30 for a monthly review for each of the months. So it could be something like a like kind of letter to yourself type thing on the first page to say like, hey, this is where I'm at right now. This is what life is like. This is, stuff that I'm enjoying or whatever. And then at the end of the journal, do the same. So you've got those kind of like 2 marker points to say like, hello, goodbye to yourself. And yeah, then the pages in the middle, you just like take each of the pages, divide them in half or in half, depending on what you prefer. And then fill it with kind of memories or little pictures or whatever from the month. That could be a nice idea. I mean, really up to you, but it's something. I mean, if there are any kind of statistics that you want to track on a monthly basis, you could put them in there as well. So it'd be like, this month I read 4 books. I watched 6 movies. I, took some steps. I don't want to give a number for the steps because I'll either embarrass myself or like way overestimate something, which will also just lead to embarrassment. Okay, no, won't actually, but still. So, all right. This guy here is a monthly task list. He doesn't need anything written in him. He's all good. My monthly calendar, I've already started populating with a variety of different things. I don't actually have everything on here though, so I'm gonna wanna get some pens out and figure out what's going on. What's going on? And I said, hey, yeah. Hey, yeah. That's social. Don't want social. So each of the colors on here with the little dots, they look, come on, words. They represent a different life area, effectively. So yellow is my home tasks, whereas pink is my mental health tasks. So we can go through and put a home, or like a household meeting on each of these days. And we can also put a weekly reset. Boink, 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 boink. Let's see. Look into Ohuhu brush markers. They are inexpensive and very nice. Wow, that's a very interesting point you make there. Because I have some Ohuhu brush markers. They very kindly sent these to me, and they do have quite a range of colors, and they're numbered. I don't know if you can hear me when I do that, so apologies. Let's see. There we go. So you can see that they've got, little marker. It's double-ended, so it's got a brush tip on one end. And there's the number for the color. And then on the other end, they have the bullet point. But I haven't tried them yet, so I'm thinking that next week's video is going to be a stationery haul because, haha, you know it, Jess got more stationery. Oh no! Let's see. Yeah, so this one is the Maui series. I don't know if there's a difference between that and the regular ones, but yeah, it's got 160 colors. So quite a collection. But that is a future me problem. So you're interested in Ohuhu, but it feels like a big investment to get that many. Yeah, that's fair. They do seem like a good quality marker. I have not played around with them very much. They seem like they are the same as the Alta Nu brush markers, possibly, but oh hi, are those new pens? Yes, they are, but we're not playing with those right now. We're doing work. Yeah, hopefully you got new stationery before you reorganize. Yeah, I need to reorganize the office. I need to figure out what I put where, but again, that's a future me problem. Let's see. So this one is a home meeting. I can fit meeting in there. Home meeting. Home meeting. Vogel and I have gotten a little bit slack about our home meetings recently just because we've been busy and tired and whatever, but they are very helpful for keeping us on track with things. So our home meetings are very much about organizing for the week ahead, so like meal planning, that kind of stuff, doing our grocery order, and then talking about anything in relation to stuff that needs to get done around the house or things that we've been talking about. What? More stationery? I'm shocked. Yes, very, very that. Yeah, you were afraid to buy them, but you're glad that. Oh yeah, I'm glad that you pleased in your purchasing. It's always nice when that happens. But yeah, home meetings, just like that kind of stuff to get ourselves organized for the house, talk about upcoming projects or things that need to be done and stuff like that. And then I also like to do my weekly reset because it just helps me get cool, calm, and collected for the week ahead. We love being cool, calm, and collected. Clam. We love being clam. No clam. Reset. Weekly reset. I think we're also going to have to do a live stream to talk about what I'm getting at the Archer of some winter release, because I know that if left to my own devices, I will buy many of things. I need accountability to help me hold myself back. Because they're so pretty and I want the stuff. Let's see. Tink. Ooh, excellent. Yes, for sure. Post that in the Facebook group. I would love to see the organization. Thinking about the alcohol markers from Ohuhu looked really cool too. I don't use alcohol markers, but they made me very tempted. Let's see. Okay. Certain order that you like your start of journal spreads. Yes. I do have a certain order. I think I've got a video about it actually. Now I need to check this. Because I am a little bit particular about the ordering of my pages, I effectively like to think about it in a couple of different ways. So I like to think about it in terms of like the themes and topics and putting things that are like kind of important first, or like putting things that are similar together. And I like to think about it in terms of what I call the width of use. So it's like not so much like how much information, but what is the kind of breadth in terms of the information. So ordering pages, there's the video. So, for instance, something like a future log is going to be quite wide in terms of its use, because it has, what's the word? It effectively has like a catch-all for things that happen throughout the time period that the future log is capturing. So it's quite wide in terms of both time and in terms of the information I'm recording on it. Whereas something like a goals tracker, like this guy here, yeah? This one is well, first of all, it needs to be filled in, but this one is a tracker for a particular health-related goal I have. So the only information that gets recorded on here is the tracking of that health-related goal. So in terms of the width of the information on it, it's a fair bit narrower, which is why it goes later into my pages. So mine's like the key, that one's up front because then it's accessible. So accessibility, I like things that are, need to be accessible up front. Width of use for this one is quite wide. That's why it's up here. So then it's easier to get to and to jot things down and to jot a lot of things down. And then goals is next because goals is really important to me. So I want to put that up front and center. I need to think about checking some of these things off. I still need to replace my iPhone cables. The day that I said I was going to do it, I was like, yep, we're writing it down. It's going to happen. Vogel was going to place part of the order with me, and then we decided that he wasn't getting the thing, and then it didn't make sense for me to just place an order by myself because then we have to pay for shipping. And so, yeah, anyways, that is an aside. Hopefully that video, though, that I sent you, hopefully that helps, because it probably explains it better than Rambly Jess does. So, let's see. Always get excited about the AO releases. They remember shipping rate to Europe. Yeah. I get so many comments from people being like, yeah, but the shipping to Europe sucks kind of thing. I'm like, I am sorry. I have no control over this. Wah. I find that because shipping to New Zealand sucks as well, I always, I bundle an order. I'll do my order with somebody else so that we can split shipping. Because, yeah, shipping is killer. So we've got the home meetings in, we've got weekly resets in, that's looking good. And then all of the blue dots in here is something related to work. So we've got like the live streams, we've got the perk releases for me team members. We're missing one. Where is me blue pen? There we go. Throwing stuff. Very aggressive. This guy here is wallpaper day. So we can put out wallpaper day. Wallpapers, yeah. Cute. Cute, cute, cute. This one is a voting day. There we go. I like it when it's actually, I like it when it's complete. Like, I don't necessarily like it when it's full, because it's like, oh my gosh, so much to do, but I like it when it's complete, so that's good. Alrighty. Well, let's see. You love the rambling parts of my videos. Thank you. So, the moment of truth, the writing down of the actions list for the month of November. So for this one, I'm not going to do it so that it's like two sides like we had in October, just because there was such an imbalance of tasks that it doesn't seem necessary to have two. What I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to start here and work it all the way around. Good question, Charlotte. When is the release happening? It is happening on November 3rd. Probably 9 a.m. Central Time, whatever time that ends up being in whoever's part of the world. But that probably means an early morning for me. Haha, sad. But, you know, I do what I do because I want to. Let's see. You're not blaming me, but you're planning on getting the subscription box as a Christmas present to yourself? Nice. I have not seen fully what is in the next subscription box, but the part that I have seen intrigues me. It does look interesting. I've seen only like a very small amount of it. So, in terms of my actions list, things to do, and I'm gonna tilt the journal here so it's a little bit easier for me to write in. I mean, do we need to zoom you guys in so you can kind of snoop and see? It does get a little bit darker when we zoom in because of the way the camera works, but there we go. All right, so things that need to happen. We need to finish populating the work task master list. And in order to do that, we need to input, what was it, the batchability? Ability. We need to input the, not frequency, we've done that one. Template ability. So, can I use a template to speed up the process? And templates come in a variety of different forms. They could be like a kind of little bit of text for the, what's the word? I know what I'm thinking about. It could be like a text, like a piece of copy for either a post, or it could be like for a script or something like that. It could be something like a document that I use to build something. So for instance, like a Photoshop document that I use to build out the trackers or something like that. There's a lot of different templates. And then also the do-aheadness. Do-ahead ability. I'm sure that there is a better word for do-ahead ability. If you know what the word is, please let me know. Is there any more than what's been spoiled for November 3rd? Yes, we have more spoilers coming out. Things that I'm probably allowed to tell you. Let's see. What have we seen so far? If you don't want to see or hear about spoilers, you can just turn me on mute and I'll do this so that you can come back, okay? So let's see. We've shown the journal. Well, we've shown some of the journals. We've shown the Daisy journal and we've shown the composition notebook looking thing, which is cute. We haven't shown all of the journals though, so more to enjoy for that. We have shown both sets of pens, so the acrylographs and the calligraphs, which are both in those kind of like retro neon flavored colors. Yeah, flavors. We've shown the notepads, which are coming in the mini size and the A5, and those ones are nice and punchy, bright colors. What else have we shown? We've shown you the pencil pouches, which are with the kind of like Daisy-esque kind of themes, which kind of goes with the retro Daisy notebook. We've shown you the stickers for those two. Yeah. No, the correct term is do-aheadability. Good. Yeah. I can't remember what else we've shown you. We've shown you the advent calendar kind of outside packaging, but we haven't shown you anything that's inside of it. And we're only going to get to show you a couple things because, like, you know, we want to keep the surprise alive. But yeah, anywho, I think that's all we've shown you, but we still have a couple more days of sneaks. We've got 2 more kind of like sets of items to show you, I think, and then maybe the advent sneaky peeky bits. But yeah, alrighty, now people can come back. There we go. That's the hand sign to let people know that it's time to come back. So finish populating the work tasks. We need to input, and then we need to check. So we need to check data. It doesn't need to be a huge thing because it's the kind of thing that I can kind of build as I go. But it's good to have the stuff in there, and at least have a fairly good idea of it being correct before I start using it. And then once that's done, I then need to group tasks. And in order to group tasks, I need to decide how to group them. I need to give the groups names that are easy to kind of use to describe what's happening in each of those little kind of batched collections. So for instance, if one of my things was just called like video copywriting, for instance, so it's like writing text for videos, that could include things like scripting, it could include things like description box writing, it could include like post writing for when I share videos to Facebook or whatever, that kind of stuff. So like all of those tasks could kind of be bundled together. Give groups names, and then once they have their names, we can sort tasks to groups. Just so that then when I set some time aside on my calendar to say, like, this is editing time, I know what kind of things actually fall under editing. So that could be things like, you know, trimming the footage, color correcting, voiceovering the footage, rah, 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 rah. So it's like all the stuff that would be related to that goes in there. Let's see. So, group tasks. And then once the tasks are grouped, I think that means that the work task master list will be finished. All right, so I feel like I need to get kind of messy on paper here. All right, we're gonna get out a piece of paper so that I can be a little bit more messy with this. So we just need to move all of the stuff out of the way first. I started making my mum a little plan of what she was able to do for moving. So it's like, you know, this is anything in pink boxes is something you're allowed to do now. And then once you've done this, you can do that. And then once you've done this, you can do these things. And then once you've done those things, you can do these things. It's like a little map to make it so that she can actually get her stuff done. Okay, so for my... Where's a pen that doesn't suck? I know you're around here somewhere, child. There we go, that works. So the kind of end goal here, or what I'm aiming to do, is have a routine for work that is weekly based, quarterly based. So it's like doing my tasks quarterly, doing my tasks weekly, doing my tasks monthly. So we do weekly tasks. And then we have the monthly tasks. And we have the, what did we say? 1, 2, 3. Quarterly tasks. We'll probably also have some annual tasks. And annual tasks. And for those annual tasks, I don't necessarily want to do them all at the same time either. It might be like, you know, the annual task block that has the annual tasks that I do in January, the annual task block that does the annual tasks that I do in March, or like whatever. Do you have a draft first? I didn't. I just kind of start writing where I usually start writing at the end point, because it's kind of like a backwards mapping. So it's like, hey, this is what you're going to do. You're going to sell the house at this point. What do you have to do before that? Okay, well, before selling the house, we need to do the open home. What do we need to do before the open home? Well, before the open home, we need to stage it. But then before we stage it, we need to do a whole bunch of stuff. So it's like, we need to clean the house. We need to do landscaping for the house. We need to do repairs for the house. So it's kind of just like backwards mapping it, so that then we can kind of see where it is that we need to go to get where we want to go. That kind of makes sense? So that's kind of what we're doing here. So this is what I wanted to have. I want to have what the tasks are, and then I want to like schedule, do for each of them. So it'll be like, yes, schedule, do. So this one kind of goes in a bit of a loop. So I need to know what the tasks are so that I can schedule them. And then once I know what the tasks are, I can do the tasks. And then after they've been done, or as part of them being done, then they can get scheduled again. So it's kind of like a little loop that happens here. And then as I do them, I might feed in that's like, okay, I actually need to update the weekly tasks list. So then I can do like update. So that's kind of like how the map ends up working. You know, this is a loose plan here. You know, it's not necessarily going to be that every single week I need to make an update kind of a thing. But that's kind of what I'm looking for. So it's like, to actually get the tasks that need to be done on a weekly basis, this is where the task map needs to come in. So it's like, I need to, or rather I have, yeah, I'll put you in the middle. Brainstorm work tasks. So I've already done this, and then once I've brainstormed the work tasks and I made the work task master list, WTM template, I then populated the template with the tasks. And then once I had populated it, I can then fill it in and then like update the tasks in terms of all of those different details. So is the like, what do we say? Batching, frequency, do ahead, and templatable. And then I did each of those for each of them, or I'm in the process of doing them. And then once those are all done, then we can do the checking. And then once I've checked each of them, then I can actually use them. Yeah? So the way that they're going to get used is that they are going to help us kind of populate that weekly template in particular. So weekly tasks, I also need like, this one is kind of a misnomer. Weekly tasks, loose schedule. / list. So I need to have the list and the schedule together so that then I can combine them so that then I can actually do stuff with them. So as part of that, I need to then, after checking, I wanted to group the tasks. So we're going to put this as like a group. And then I'm going to group them into things that need to be done. Weekly, monthly, quarterly, etc., etc. It's a little bit messy, but that's okay. That's why we got this piece of paper out. Okay, so once I've grouped them, we will then be able to group them based in terms of like task area, I suppose, but then also task frequency. And the frequency is the part that's kind of the most important, I think, so that then I don't end up doing tasks in ways, or like with a frequency that ends up just being like constantly working on the same thing, if that kind of makes sense. So it's like, rather than having 2 days a week dedicated to editing, say, where I'm editing a separate video in each of them, it's like, can I just do all of my editing time on one day and do all of the editing for all of the videos that I'm currently working on at that point at the same time? That's kind of what I'm thinking. So we need to, have them grouped in terms of that frequency. Yes, indeed, we need a tink. Tink. And we also need to group them in terms of the type of task. So I guess that kind of is something that I need to specify in here, maybe. Decide on how to group is kind of what I've talked about. So it's deciding that I need to have it by frequency, and I also need to have it by type. Yeah? Kind of makes sense. To me, at least. In my mind, it makes sense. This is a little bit messy. So once I have grouped them by their frequency and their type, then I can start to pull in my routines. So for each of these, we also need to decide on a kind of rough schedule for each of them. So how do we build this in a way that doesn't look ugly? So I'm going to call the RS. I'm going to write this here for myself. RS equals rough. There we go. So you can see. Schedule. There we go. So I'm going to need to have a weekly rough schedule that I can build together to bring in my weekly task list. Weekly list. Okay, which is effectively this thing. I've just put it over here. And then we'll have the monthly list and the quarterly list. And the annual list. And as part of that, we will need a monthly rough schedule, and we will need a quarterly rough schedule. And the annual rough schedule. And the way that I'm going to get at least the weekly rough schedule is by doing that time tracking data analysis, which I'm just going to write up here as a general point. Time tracking analysis. Cool. Yeah, which is obviously, that's quite a large kind of descriptor. There's a lot more that kind of goes into that than just, hey, go and analyze your data. But it gives me a starting point for it. So it's like, by doing that and by bringing in the weekly, by doing that, I can get the weekly rough schedule rather, and then having that and this grouped data, I can bring it together to build the weekly list. And then once I have the weekly list and the loose schedule that goes with it, I can do this kind of cyclical iteration type thing where it's like, okay, this is the stuff I need to do for the week. Let's schedule it into the week and try it out. Then once I've actually done it, I can say, okay, which ones got done in the time frame that I expected them to, which ones not so much, and I can then tweak and change it. Alrighty. So, taking my rough plan aside, because it is just a very rough plan to try and help myself see the order of events here. Yeah, exactly. Like, how long can I work on it productively? Indeed. Yeah, so, I know that from my time logging data so far, I can kind of see percentage-wise how many blocks of time I need to dedicate to editing videos. But then it's like, if I do put all of those together, like you're talking about, Janet, it's like, do I get to a point of like limited return on the effort that I'm putting in? Have I kind of expended the available energy to be able to actually edit these videos? I also want to build into it the idea of energy cycles. So everybody has their own kind of natural energy cycles that they go through in each day, each week, probably each month as well, And there are going to be certain times of the day, week, month that are just going to be better for certain types of tasks. So which times within each day, week, month, whatnot, are going to be best for kind of more analytical work versus more creative work versus times where it's like I really just need to sit down and just draw things out of my journal, because I mean part of my work is making layouts and stuff, so there's going to be times where it's going to be a lot better to do that. Let's see, where did you share the November spoilers? So I have shared some sneak peeks through the Moments That Matter space on Discord, because that's usually where I share things that are sneaky. And we've also just been sharing general, like, ambassador sneaks on Instagram, just via Reels. Because those ones are, like, allowed to be put out on a certain time frame. So those ones are over there. But yes. So, what else do we say? So, finish populating work task master list. We need to... This might happen today, because it is supposed to. And I can't spell analyze, but that's okay. Analyze time logging data, or at least what I can get my hands on. Alrighty, so we need to set the, what's the word? I know I've written it down already, so I'm just going to go look at it, like cheat off myself. Let's see. Specify time blocks, specify objectives. So set objectives. So it's like, what do you actually want to get out of analyzing the data? What are you actually looking to find out, I suppose? And then, what do you want?
I have booked us an electrician for 12.
Okay, do you need to come tell me that now?
No?
12 today?
Yeah.
Okay. Interrupting much. Vogel says hi, by the way.
Hello! I figured your viewers would like to enjoy that we live such regular lives.
I know, right? This is very exciting. Electrician problems. Our oven keeps like turning itself off randomly. You can go. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Dismissed.
Dismissed. Let's see. Yeah, our oven keeps just like short-circuiting. That's not a word. Short-circuiting and turning itself off. Rude. Alright, so set objectives for the analyzing of the time logging data, and then we actually just need to like do the analysis. It's not going to take very long. Well, at least it wasn't going to take very long until I lost the data. Rude. But, you know, it is what it is. Yeah. Oven, you're fired. So yeah, yesterday we ended up getting fish and chips for dinner because we're like, I don't trust the oven. We should just get takeout. So, in terms of the reviewing of the time logging data, it shouldn't take too long. I just need to go through, find the stills, that kind of thing. So it's actually going to be like rewatch the time log video. And then it'll be, as part of that, it's screenshot the data. And then it'll be transfer the data to Excel. Frustratingly, I'm so miffed that I lost it. I'm so miffed because yeah, it was I effectively lost a week's, like a full week's worth of work, yeah, because it was tracking my time spending in 15-minute increments, and I did it across 2 weeks, and then I lost the document, so I only had the analysis of the first week. So I'm kind of glad that I did the first analysis video, but I am upset, frustrated. Anyways, so transfer the data to Excel. Once the data has been transferred, then we can actually start to analyze. So analyze, so we're going to find the, what did we say it was? The average time. Yep, average time per these, and then percentage time by these. So average time spent, life area, and work task. And then we have the percentage. Time spent. The only reason that I am slightly less miffed about this than I could be is that I know that the week after this was... What's the word? Yeah, the week after the one that I tracked initially for that initial video, we ended up taking like 2 days off to do anniversary stuff, just like hanging out, going out for brunch and stuff like that, which is certainly not a typical week. So I'm just like, it's not so bad to have the atypical week removed, but it is still frustrating. So percentage, not that I spelled that wrong, percentage, right, not that I spelled that right. Life area. And the work tasks. Alrighty. So then, after we've got those done, we can use this to... skipped a line. Whoops. It's fine. All is well. Then we can kind of think about, like, if, say, 50% of my work time is spent doing editing, like, how many of my work blocks am I actually going to be able to dedicate to editing? Or should I be dedicating to editing? Alrighty, the question. Are electricians reliable in New Zealand? That is a great question. I have never used the same electrician twice, so it's hard to say. Usually they just give you a time frame, which is, kind of unhelpful. But this one is specifically a call out for a particular job, so them saying that it's 12 gives me hope. Once we use this, once we've done this part, we can then use the data. And the way that we're going to use the data is words. Kind of like translate. To number of time blocks. And then we're going to have record or like save data safely. In safe place. So miffed. Because I did a folder cleanup, or like a cleanup of my files, and just lost it. And I checked my bin and it was gone because I got too good at emptying my bin. And I checked my folders and it was gone. So because I've done this time logging experiment previously, but I didn't record the data with quite as much specificity, which means that it is not as usable, which is frustrating. But it's cool. It's fine. I'm trying to be okay with it. So that's looking pretty good. Once we've analyzed the time logging data, because we've already done the scaffold of the weekly log, and we've already developed a daily log that kind of ties into that, which we did, I think, as part of a team exclusive video. Then we can actually start thinking about what we do next. Let's see, what would be the next step? I need to bring my little map back. So, by this point, we've done all of this stuff and we've kind of started tending towards the weekly. Do I even want to do it weekly? I'm conflicted about that too. I know that I personally find it very hard to think about things on a monthly basis, you know? Like, I know tasks that I need to do once a month, but in terms of actually being able to plan out my time, I find the monthly very tricky to use. Does anybody else kind of relate to that? Is there a certain time frame that you find trickier to work on? Like, I'm not very good at thinking too far out. So if anybody says, like, oh, you know, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I'm like, hopefully not dead. Like, that's about as much as I can tell you. But outside of that, I don't have a very clear vision for what I want my life to look like in 5 years. Similar idea with the weekly. Like, I work much better on a time frame that is kind of week after week continuously. So if we flip back to this guy, say, yeah, like this kind of thing is much more helpful for me compared to a monthly calendar, because I can see how all of the weeks kind of lead onto each other. And this is the rest of the year on one page, right? So we're sitting here at the moment. We're doing our live stream together, having a great time. And then this is the amount of time we have until the 31st of December. So this view is much more useful to me compared to just thinking about a month, which is like, there. Yeah. I struggle to work out what I'm doing later today. I know, right? I completely understand that. Yeah, so I work much better on a, this kind of basis. Like, I can think about things in terms of a quarterly basis to a stretch. Like, we get towards the end of the quarter and it's a little bit fuzzy, but I can kind of do okay. But I can't effectively plan on a monthly basis, I find. I also find that, like, because I start to think about it in terms of, like, discrete months, then the end of one month and the work that I have planned for that kind of starts to blend into the start of the next month. So you end up with these, like, weirdly busy periods rather than everything kind of being a bit more spread out in a way that is a bit more favorable. But yeah, it is what it is. I think there's something that I've been thinking about. It's like, do I even do monthly setups next year? Like, if monthly planning is something that I don't work so well with, what would be the purpose of making myself plan monthly? Would it be better to do like quarterly planning and quarterly calendars and not restrict yourself to this idea of like, oh yeah, this has to happen in February, even though February has less days than other months and stuff like that, or like whatever. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. I'm toying around with the idea, but I'm not sold on stuff yet. But also, tink. Yeah, I like that one, like the anti-vision kind of a thing. It's like, okay, well, this is all the stuff that I don't want to be. Or that kind of like, productive catastrophizing. So it's like thinking about the worst possible, like the worst reasonable outcome, so that then we can plan to not get there. So, alright. Where were we? This is looking pretty good. What comes next? Okay, that's what we were thinking. What comes next? So we need to, after we've done the time tracking analysis, we actually need to make the weekly rough schedule. We do have a weekly rough schedule, but I would like to actually formalize the weekly rough schedule. So we're going to put this here. Weekly rough schedule. And I'd also like to do a quarterly rough schedule, which we'll put up there. I'm going to turn this again so it's easier. Yeah, like that for planning. Yeah, mad busy working week. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. The idea of spreading things over 2 weeks or even like possibly 3. I like the idea of working on a 2-week block because that's how I do, like that's how our money comes in, for instance, like pay cycle and loan repayments and stuff. So it's like if those systems are already set up to be a 2-week thing, then why not lean into that? So that's why I've got my budgeting done every 2 weeks kind of a thing. So I'm thinking that might be a better way to think of my time compared to monthly. Also, Rude, my phone company, they do their phone plan charges on a 28-day cycle rather than a weekly cycle, just so that they could get that extra payment. Don't think I don't know what you're doing, Spark. Anyways, so you're not Spark. You're gorgeous. Don't worry. But Spark. So if that's going to come through on a every 4 weeks basis, then why not just kind of lean into that with these kind of planning cycles rather than doing it on this kind of like, because months kind of feel a little arbitrary to me. It's like, oh yeah, this one's got 31 and then that one's only got 28, but sometimes it has 29 and now this one's got 31 and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, nah. I think we should just have 13 months. It would just be easier. We have 13 months, they each get 28 days, and then we just have the extra day at the end. Or whatever. Or an extra 2 days if it's like a special year. It makes more sense in my mind. Maybe I just start doing that. Maybe I just, forfeit the idea of having a monthly calendar and just go to a 28-day cycle. Just be like, yep, this is how I plan now. I actually kind of like that idea. I'm going to write that down. We can tick that off too. 28-day planning cycle. rather than monthly. With bonus days. And end of year. But we're going to put that down as a question mark. Because if you're planning on a 28-day cycle, then you don't actually necessarily need to, like, do that. You know, the Gregorian calendar pisses you off. Yeah, fair. I just think that it would probably just make more sense in my mind. And also, if you do everything on a 28-day cycle, then first of all, your block looks beautiful because it's very square, which is kind of nice. And it would just lend itself to making routines a little better, I think. But we'll see. Maybe. It just means that you're going to end up getting like 13 plan with me videos next year rather than 12. Because I do like my 28-day cycle planning rather than my monthly plan with me. But most people would probably look for monthly plan with me, so it's like, oh, in that case, then gotta kind of balance that idea of trying this new method out with what works in terms of content making. Not to say that the content making is the be all and end all, but it is my job, so shrug. Anywho, so for the weekly rough schedule, which would be kind of the thing that we were looking at before, if we pull it back up again, I can kind of show you what I mean. And I do intend on working on it today, so it's not necessarily going to happen in November, but it's written down for November. No harm, no foul. So what I was kind of thinking for my beautiful little poink schedule that I've got here is the idea of these blocks of time, right? So these blocks here are specifically my work blocks, and then I'm trying to be a little bit more intentional about having a leisure time in the evening. So this would be the leisure time. This is Bujo Wednesday kind of a thing. So based on that, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yes, I could have done that maths somewhere else. So 20 blocks during the weekdays and then 3 blocks on the weekend. Probably more like that one's probably going to be. There we go. So 24 2-hour blocks. So what's that? 48 hours? So 48 hours of work time across the week, which is significantly less than what I typically do. So the idea here is that by putting myself into this kind of schedule, I would be better at actually utilizing the time for the task that I have designated to it, kind of a thing. So it's like this one, it would be our live stream block, because each week at 9 a.m. I do a live stream. It lasts, at least 2 hours typically, right? We're coming up on the 2-hour mark. So this would be a live stream block. Sometimes it would blend into here. So then this block could be something like YouTube admin, where I go through, I like respond to comments, I, schedule out any other kind of video releases and stuff like that, do some pre-planning, whatever else, and then maybe the afternoon is all about material preparation. So it's, sitting down with my journal and drawing out layouts that I need for upcoming videos, or sketching things out, or like whatever. So on a typical week, that's roughly what would happen. And then I could do that kind of thing for each of the days in this, keeping it kind of loose. And that's why the task kind of, what's the word? Not batching. Like organizing it into groups would be necessary, so that then it's like, hey, if I've got a block that's done as like copywriting, for instance, like anything in here that says copywriting, maybe those are specifically part of this block that I can do. So it's stuff like that. That's kind of what I was thinking, but yeah. Okay, but imagine having a birthday on a Monday every year. As long as it's a public holiday Monday, so then you don't have to go to work. Let's see. So. Ah. I've got a little thing here. I'm going to put that away. So, after these ones, writing out the weekly rough schedule. So the template's already kind of made, so I'm not going to put it down, because it's like, I know already that I'm not going to work on it in November because it is already finished. We don't need to write that down. That's silly. So in terms of what I actually have to do for it, it would be soft assign block descriptors. So this one kind of very much has to come after the idea of the grouping tasks and giving those tasks names, because the assigning of the blocks is going to be done based on what those group names are. So if I have one that is more like, what's the word? Yeah, if I have one that's like editing, for instance, that's going to be one that goes on to the block descriptor roster that I can put into my stuff. Yeah. I just need to think about whether I actually want to do this weekly or if I'd prefer to do it fortnightly. That's future me problem. I'm gonna put this on this list. So pick between fortnightly, so that would be 2 weeks, yeah, versus weekly planning. There we go. So I need to kind of think of a I'm going to call it visioning, so it's like envisioning. So like what would the actual difference between the two be? Because I don't want it to be like, oh yeah, I'll do fortnightly, but then both of the weeks are exactly the same, because that would kind of defeat the purpose. I think that the possibility of the fortnightly planning would be good though, because I already do my budgeting on a fortnightly basis. And that's why I'm like, but yeah. Visioning differences. And then list. I'm going to say pros and cons. It's not necessarily what I mean, but I know what I mean. So listing pros and cons, thinking about like what would the benefits versus the possible downfalls of each system be, kind of a thing. What would the potential kind of weaknesses in each of them be, or what would the strengths be? Kind of like a little SWOT analysis. SWOT, as in like SWOT. Yeah. So I'll put that in brackets for myself. SWOT. There we go. That looks pretty cute. And yeah, so once we've soft assigned the block descriptors on the weekly rough schedule, which might end up being a fortnightly one, so we'll see, then we need to give it a bit of a trial run. So we kind of need to like build it into the calendar. And by building into the calendar, I mean specifically onto my Outlook calendar, so I can kind of see where things are. Build onto Outlook, which isn't a hard task. Like I can do that before any of these anyways, because I've already decided on what the schedule looks like. And then trial for 2 weeks. And that can either be 2 weeks with the fortnightly or 2 weeks with the like weekly times 2. Because the thing that I'm thinking of with the fortnightly is that the nice part about that would be that I would kind of end up having like a week on, week off for content making in a way. So I would be able to batch all of the filming across 2 days that are on the same week, rather than doing filming every single week kind of a thing. SWOT is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So strengths and weaknesses are kind of thinking about like within the system. I'm explaining this poorly because I've never really had to explain it before. Within the system, like what are the good and bad about that? And then the opportunities versus threats are kind of like external things, and how they weigh on the system. Yeah. Poorly described. I'm sure somebody can do it better than me. I mean, definitely somebody can explain that better than me. But yeah, this is looking pretty good so far though. I'm pleased with where this is headed. I'm going to want to do a similar thing for my, what do we say, quarterly, because if I don't do monthly, then it would end up being / 28 days, which would be kind of nice. The only issue is that I know that like my perk releases and stuff happen on a monthly basis, whereas my quarterly would be like, January through to March, April through to June, June through to September, and October through to December. And then monthly we could do as 28 days, but then it doesn't necessarily fit with this one. It would end up like, if I went to a 28-day system, and this is one of the issues, right? 28-day system would work really nicely with some things, and with other things that are already established, it would work really poorly with. So it would be kind of like a, do I change the other things to fit this 28-day cycle or not? Shrug. Annual's fine, but we'd have like set points to actually do stuff rather than doing it all at the same time, is the idea. Weekly / fortnightly. So, picking between those two, doing the pros and cons, make a choice. That is going to be an action. And because however I decide for that one is probably going to influence whether I do the 28-day cycle or if I do the monthly cycle. I'm just toying with the idea though, so we won't write it down. Quarterly, on the other hand, I know I want to do, because that's how I do my goal planning. Quarterly rough schedule is what we called it. So one of the things that I guess I need to note about this is that when I think of a weekly block, weekly, I think of the days, whichever days they are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then within those days, I think of blocks of time, So it's kind of like a 2-step breakdown, I suppose. So it's like the week is the 7 days, and then the blocks of time within that week is kind of how I'm breaking it down. When I think of monthly, the blocks that I'm thinking of are the weeks. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, which kind of narrowed in for some reason. And then within that we have the days. So those are the 2 steps. It's like the week and the day. And then if I'm thinking quarterly, it's thinking of months and weeks, which I'm not going to draw. I'll draw a little one out. So quarter is 3 months. So then it's within that. It's like the weeks within each of those. Does that kind of make sense? I can't spell quarterly, but that's kind of the general gist of it. So if I'm making a quarterly schedule, I'm thinking about, okay, I need to do things on this kind of monthly timeline, and I'm going to fit them within this week of those things. Yeah. So quarterly rough schedule, we need to do a kind of like soft assign. We need to find like a make template, because I've made the template for the weekly one. I haven't made it for the quarterly. And then it'll be soft assigning, tasks, and then I won't build that one into Outlook. That one will probably stay in my journal because it's not so much like time-based, it's just day-based, and I find doing day-based stuff in my journal is fine. And then we're going to have to trial it as well. Trial for 3 months, which is great because that's not necessarily something that I can do in November, but I want to have it written down, so it's all good. Alrighty. Tink. All good, Natasha. Pleasure to have you here with us. I'm sorry that it has been a day. I hope that it is looking up. Alright. So, weekly, quarterly, deciding between fortnight and quarterly. What do you guys reckon? What do you think about this? Because obviously it's a little bit different to what the majority of people do, I feel, or at least the majority of people on the internet do. But I do see the benefits of doing fortnightly. Okay, we're going to write a list. We're going to move you to the side, dear child. We're going to bring back our piece of paper here. We're just going to flip it over and write on the other side. So, things that work really nicely. We zoom in a little bit so that we can see. There we go. So, we have the fortnightly versus the, what was it, weekly? Weekly or monthly? A monthly. That's the one we're thinking about. It's monthly and weekly. Versus fortnightly and 28 days. Because I think that those groupings would work a little bit better. So fortnightly, 28 days versus monthly and weekly and quarterly. And for this one, how would I spin the quarterly here? I think that how many blocks of 28 days are there in a year? 13. Not pretty. So it would probably still be quarterly. Though that breakdown is not as nice. This is like a pre-established thing. Like, you know, everybody kind of does that. It's whatever. Would the amount of fortnightly versus monthly tasks make a difference? Possibly. Maybe. I'm thinking that I would kind of have to see what it would look like after the fact, because I find that a lot of things that I do on a weekly basis could be transferred to a fortnightly basis with more planning, because a lot of what I do can be done ahead of time. You know, I can make a video a week out and post it, or I can make a video the day before and post it. It still kind of comes out on the same, like at the same time, you know. Whereas things like live streaming, that one happens on a weekly basis, but I would just consider it to be like, oh look, a live stream this week, a live stream next week. Like no big deal there. I feel like I've explained that poorly. So things that would lend themselves really nicely to this would be my phone bill. Would be my, what's it? I know what it's called. Budgeting. Because they're already done on that kind of a basis. Would be stuff like, oh dear, I think that like just in general work routines and stuff in terms of the filming would be really nicely on a fortnightly basis, but I currently do it on a weekly basis. See, the stuff that I've already got over here is stuff like membership perks. Because they are already done on a monthly basis. We've already got my goal setting gets done on a quarterly basis, but quarterly's there for both of them, so that's not really a lot to think about. We have monthly plan with me videos, like with the setups kind of a thing. Aesthetics would be a pro. I know, right? I think that it looks nicer. Then we'll do XP. Lol. Because yeah, I think that it would look quite nice. I think that one of the pros of fortnightly versus weekly in particular is just being able to batch better, rather than having the same kind of like smaller chunks. So isn't a fortnight 40 days? No. Fortnight is 14 days. It's 2 weeks. Monthly. Monthly is done for interest and literally every other bill that I have. So power, internet, other subscriptions except for Spotify is done every 28 days, annoyingly. Again, because of the money. Alrighty. Ah, dear. You're ruining my life here with your bills. Like, I was so happy about this. Now I don't think it's going to work. Would filming fortnightly free up extra time that you could utilize for other tasks? Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. So it could be the kind of thing that, like, we do fortnightly, but we do monthly instead. It's just, like, a different way to think about stuff. I'm not too sure. let's see. Other things that, like, this one would just be nicer for, like, I'm going to call it regular work. By that I mean specifically just like making content for YouTube. I think it would work much nicer on a fortnightly basis. It would just get me into more of a routine of like having times that are sectioned off for planning videos, and then time sectioned off for filming, time sectioned off for editing, but not making it so granular like a weekly would. Because if I went with weekly, the furthest I could kind of get ahead reasonably would be weekly, whereas if I do it fortnightly, I'd be more likely to be able to get ahead on a, like, you know, a fortnightly or longer basis because of the way that the time is kind of broken up across that period, those 2 weeks. I'm wondering, like, although I like the idea of 28 days because I like the idea of the way it looks, could I go with like a fortnightly, monthly, quarterly? Because quarterly's in both of them, so I don't really have to worry about it, just because there's not really any nice way to break it down here unless you start to mess around with the years, and that's like not quite not quite what I want to do. I don't want to make my own like yearly kind of calendar. I'm like, oh yes, it is currently the year of 2023 for Jess, but for everybody else it's 2024, or like whatever. It wouldn't end up like that, but you kind of get it. Work out a version where you plan on both bases. Yeah, because this stuff here, like, this one is really just dependent on whatever I end up doing. So if I don't end up going with monthly planning, then monthly plan with me's don't specifically happen. It would, just depend on your calendar, it'll be easier. So rather than monthly plan with me's, it would end up being like 28-day plan with me's, or quarterly plan with me's, or something like that, which I'm not like opposed to. It would just be a little bit different. Whereas I guess the thing with these two in particular, interest and the bills and stuff, that just happens. Like, I don't really need to do anything with that. It just, they send me a letter, they charge me a portion of money, kind of a thing. Stuff that I do actually have to plan out though are my work tasks. Like, I plan that. I have to plan my membership perks. I guess that's something that I need to consider with this as well. It's like, the phone bill comes in, I don't actually have to do anything. The budgeting is something that I actually have to do. The Spotify bill comes in, I don't actually have to do anything with it. So really, it's membership perks versus my regular work and my budgeting. So you plan both monthly and fortnightly in your quarterly plan. Love that. Would help to think of the planning in terms of the quarter. I do 12-week plans. 12-week plans. That makes sense. 12-week plans. I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. I do realize that. I apologize. What's 52 divided by 12? Okay, 4 1/3. Is that for like the sneaky bit? Let's see. I'm getting my calculator out. My calculator's just typing on to Google. So 12 times 4 is 48, which gives you 4 extra weeks in your quarter? Question mark? 12-week plans, and then you have a week for reset. That's cool. Ooh, Lenore. I like that idea. So then the quarterly wouldn't be so much based on specifically the monthly quarters. It would be like 12 and then 1. So it'd be like a 13-week quarter. Like when you wrap up all the time. That's pretty nifty. I quite like that. And then the end of the year is just like the sprinkle, the time off, right? Yeah, fortnight type of calendar. Yeah. Alrighty. What if you do a fortnight? 42 days, 3 blocks of fortnight. And then 2 42-day blocks. Wait a second. I've confused myself. 42 days. Now I'm confused. Okay. So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that would be 12. I need more space. So I'm going to just draw it down here because it might just be a little easier for myself to visualize type of a thing. Okay, so if you're 5, that's 10, 12. And then the 13th one here. And then there's that one. Okay. And then there's that one. So for anybody who's just like, Jess, what are you doing? I'm drawing out the block of 12 weeks, and then on top we have the 13th block, kind of a thing, just to help my mind out a little bit. So those would be like quarter 1 and it's reset, quarter 2 and it's reset, quarter 3 and it's reset, quarter 4 and it's reset, and then, oh, ew, I don't want your kisses. Leave me alone. Icky. No means no. All right, so we have those quarters, and then the problem, okay, it's not like so much a problem, it's more just like a point of interest. So if we were then doing it with fortnightly, because I would not want my kind of this guy, like my budgeting in particular, I wouldn't want my budgeting and my loan repayments and whatever to end up switching which week they were on. So I would have to keep, I'm going to put this way, I would have to keep the weeks in the sections they're in. So this would be like the first 2 weeks of that quarter, the second 2 weeks, the third 2 weeks, the fourth 2 weeks, the fifth 2 weeks, the sixth. But then this reset week wouldn't end up just being like a no space. It would end up being another little fortnight block. So this fortnight block would be this guy and this guy. And then we'd have another fortnight block, 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 and then it would line up again in the middle of the year. And then we would start the cycle again. So just to kind of keep myself in terms of like having my budgeting day and my loan repayment day on the same day in the fortnight, rather than taking kind of a week off with the reset week. I really like the idea of the reset week though. That's pretty cool. But yes, if you want to send pictures through the Discord, that would be excellent, because I'd very be interested, get out. I would be very interested to see what this looks like in terms of your planning, because this idea intrigues me. I'm intrigued. And then the last little bit of the year would just be like, hey, this is like Uber reset, mega chunks reset. And then we would start the new year on a Monday, because I start on a Monday. You two brain cells for tonight can't keep up with the fortnight and quarter talk. I'm sorry. Dink. There we go. So yeah, I'm... Because then it's like the quarters aren't month-based, which is kind of nice. They're that 12 week kind of basis, and then has that inbuilt reset time, which would be really cool. And then that would lead to having those fortnightly blocks that I can put my budgeting. What was the other one? Loan repayments. And the only thing that I need to do for loan repayments is make sure that there's actually money in my account. Sad face. But then also, like, if I was doing that, I could maybe even make meal planning a fortnightly thing rather than a weekly thing. Because meal planning is like the bane of my existence, honestly. I hate it. That's why we have our like little meal plan things that we do. But it'd be nice to kind of be able to think ahead in that amount of time. I'm very intrigued by this idea, but I think I need to do a little bit more thinking about it. Okay, so we're gonna put this aside. This is one of those like Jess needs to have a think about it. But I'm curious about how that would look in my planner, my journal, how I would actually go about setting up layouts for that. But I think that, okay, let's flip. Let us flip. So this guy here, I don't think he has here. I think he's got 9, doesn't he? 9? Yeah, this has 9 weeks in it, which means that this layout in particular wouldn't quite work. But we could jimmy this so it'd be like 6, 6, and then the reset can be like a separate thing or something like that. Would you do setups for quarters or fortnights then? I would probably do setups. I do quarterly setups, and I'd probably do fortnightly setups. I'd probably do both, because I would treat my fortnightly setup kind of like my monthly setup in a way. rather than having the months in like this kind of a thing. So I would go with quarterly and fortnight rather than monthly and weekly, if that kind of makes sense. Because right now I do these kind of things on a semi-regular basis. Like we have the monthly setup here, and then for the weekly setup I'll put in like a little kind of weekly ladder type thing and do that. So instead I would end up doing the fortnightly and quarterly rather than 28 days. So that would be kind of So that means that we would probably do like a quarterly plan with me together, and then maybe we could bring in some kind of like fortnightly. I don't know if we'd do a fortnightly every fortnight or if we do every 2 fortnights. Okay. I know we just said we were putting this to the side, but if we did every 2 fortnights, then we would have like that chunk of time, that chunk of time, that chunk of time, and then we'd have the reset week and the first 3 weeks, 1, 2, 3, of the next one. Again, needs some more thought. This is like where my messy mind works. Okay, so working still with a monthly calendar though, but intrigued at the possibility of changing it. Yeah, I think that I want to do like a little bit of a trial. That'd be kind of interesting. So this guy's looking cute. This guy isn't getting filled in until the new month because there's nothing specifically that needs to be written down for it yet. We have this list out. We have done some envisioning of differences. We're not going to cross it off though, because I need to formalize it a little bit so that I'm happy with where we've left that off. This is my meal plan. I don't have any plans yet for what we're eating this week, so I can't fill anything in. Got my little habit tracker with my little key underneath here, looking swell. I realized after writing this stuff in that I didn't actually have either 1 or 2 of the habits that I wanted to put on here actually on here, but I'm not gonna add them, so it is what it is. And then that is work calendar stuff, Vlogmas planning, and November review. So I'm gonna skedoodle and think some more about the mess that I've created here. If you enjoyed getting very hypothetical with me, give the video a like. Otherwise, I will see you again next week, where we'll probably end up doing some kind of stationery haul live stream if the rest of my stationery comes in. Otherwise, team, have a fabulous rest of your day, and I will see you later. Bye for now.